When Fritz Perls of Gestalt says, get a man on his self-supports and self-sufficiency as quickly as possible, is the primary goal of therapy, the primary goal of life, because each has their own. None has the time. Don't come to me unless you have leverage and something to offer. What's in it for me? Following the greed principle. To get a man on his self-sufficiency and his own self-sufficiency and his own self-supports, you have to build the man up. The man has to be ready physically. Let's use the example of Mr. Elliot Rodger. You have to have something to work with. The man has to have an inner core. You have to build the inner core. You have to build the intestinal fortitude of the man, with whatever that takes. That's psychotrauma. That's reality mirroring to the man over and over again so he can experience who he is. That's showing what I call the Don Quixote Knights of the Mirror. These are the knights that stand in the daylight and shine. They're all circling Don Quixote, with the man from La Mancha who's on the quest. In reality, he's a foolish, senile old man who doesn't know himself. He's caught up in a fantasy and in delusions of grandeur and hallucinations. And the Lords of the Mirror try to snap him out of this foolishness. But they're dealing with a senile old man who's on a quest to right the wrongs of the world. Going out with nothing but a stick and a foolish sidekick to bolster his ego. And the mirrors, the Lords of the Mirror say, as Don Quixote says, I am I, Don Quixote, Lord of La Mancha. And the Lord of the Mirror says back to him, I am I, Lord of the Mirrors. And he says, tell me, Quixote, what do you see when you look in the mirror? And Quixote sees his illusions, his hallucinations. And he says, I am I, Don Quixote, Lord of La Mancha. And the Lord of the Mirror says, no, I see a foolish old man, senile, behaving very foolishly, stupidly. And we're going to go around the circle, and each Lord of the Mirror that's shining the mirror, you can't escape the mirrors, Quixote. The mirrors are you. The mirrors are your reality. The mirrors are your stupidity. The mirrors are the results that you're getting for your behavior. And we're here to break the bewitchment, the mesmerization, the Lord of La Mancha. And he can't escape who he is. But he never admits, I'm a foolish, senile old man. And before you can get a man on his self-supports and self-sufficiency, no matter what a Tony Robbins or his ilk will tell you, you've got to have something to work with. Whatever it takes, you've got to bring him back to a hardcore sense of who he is and what he is. Never let him escape it. Those are the mirrors. You can't get on your self-supports and self-sufficiency. Everything begins and ends with that. Everything you do in life is predicated on being genuinely and authentically on your self-supports and your self-sufficiency. 100% of the way. That's the biggest prize to be won, in my opinion. And each man, that's the cross that each man has to pick up and carry. And when he drops it, he has to pick his own cross up and start marching again. And the march is through 500 yards of pure negative shit. And the resistances and the foolishness of it. He's got to see the foolishness of himself, with the mirrors held up to him constantly. He has to question himself. He has to interrogate himself. He has to prosecute himself. And he has to be very serious about what he sees there. He takes nothing for granted. He listens to his enemies' opinions of him. These are the mirrors of the Lord of La Mancha that shows him who he is in reality. He never sacrifices the reality for a fantasy. It's a constant endeavor to kill the wishful thinking, to kill the phony hope and the phony dreams, as Pearls would have it, to kick the crap out of the phoniness within us. And that's the phoniness. There's no entitlements, Elliot Roger. There's no husses. Because each has their own and none has the time. What have you done for me lately? Meaning that in every encounter you have to know who you are, what you are. You have to know how to ask yourself the right, relevant, realistic questions. You have to prosecute yourself ruthlessly. And the good and the bad exist on a continuum, my friend. We don't run out of the hell of the bad to jump into a phony bosom of the illusion of the good. We stay with the bad, because I'm arguing the good only comes from the bad. And you have to get your experience. You have to own your own experience. The other's experience is just a testimony of what was possible for him. And of course, the bum is leaving out a lot of relevant details. It's his story. He's telling his story. And he's telling it to somebody who he wants for effect. In other words, it's showtime, baby. Showtime out there. Nothing's real. And nothing to get hung about. Strawberry fields forever and that bullshit. You know, in the final analysis, when you wake up and look around, when you become an old man like me, it was all a dream. It was all a dream. But the dream, paradoxically, is a reality. And that reality is nothing more, nothing less than your own existence, your own being. You have to write your own autobiography, my friend. And you better be ruthlessly honest. The beauty, the truth, the poetry, the philosophy is in the ruthless honesty of the individual confronting his own existence and standing up to it